Thank you, Speaker. On behalf of the Greens, I rise to contribute to this public interest debate and thank the member for Sydney for bringing it to this House. We were trying to remember when the first motion came to this chamber, congratulating the success of Sydney World Pride being won and delivered to our shores, and it is wonderful to be here now celebrating the successes. I want to acknowledge also the incredible team from Sydney World Pride that are here in the chamber with us. It is so wonderful to have the chamber present with you here to be able to celebrate. And I was thinking back over like how we even start talking about what was this mammoth, massive thing that occurred. And I feel like, to me, what captures the absolute heart and feeling of Sydney was the moment where Danny joined Kylie on stage at the opening concert, just at the Domain out there with the like crowd of people. And the level of like high emotion was so huge because you had in that a feeling of absolute recognition, a sense of history, of what it meant, of how far the LGBTIQ plus community had come, and a collective sigh of relief within that crowd that it was like there was something wonderfully mainstream, hilariously 80s historical and current and global all connected in. And there was a feeling in that moment that I feel like captures the absolute moment that Sydney World Pride brought to this city, but also the mammoth significance of what it means now for the challenge ahead for us to deliver on the promise for the next generation, whatever that looks like. I want to acknowledge my Greens colleague, the member for Ballina, Tamara Smith, who's here, and my Greens colleague who was here until a second ago, but unfortunately had to leave the chamber for a minute, the Greens member for Balmain, and say that it was wonderful to join in a Greens gang across the Harbour Bridge, to be able to traverse that bridge, walk the streets. We in the Greens love walking on the street, we love marching on the street, we love it when a road closes for people to take to the streets. And so we were in our absolute element with the bridge closed, everybody marching across the street and rainbow flags flying. So we were very pleased about that. And I want to also talk to the wonderful reception that was mentioned by the member for Coogee that occurred at Government House that brought together speakers from the Human Rights Conference as well as representatives and key leaders from across the community. And I want to acknowledge that because there was the most special moment that I'm keen to capture on the record, where one of the really wonderful Greens 78ers that's been a representative for a long time that lives in Wagga, Ray Goodlass, came up to join me at that reception, and he and Peter de Waal were standing there talking to the Lord Mayor, Clover Moore. There was a moment where there was international guests also coming over to introduce them to it, and it was like, this is the respect that elders from the LGBTIQ plus community should be given. And there was a moment where I felt seeing them be given pride of place to listen to the speech, to be able to be celebrated and acknowledged in that space, but connect regional Wagga to the world at this reception, to me, captured something really significant there. I want to acknowledge that there are so many people that we could thank. People have listed the names. I'm not going to do it, but what I would say is that I know that it was a hard slog. Doing this kind of thing is not easy. I'm sure everybody needs probably lots of time to regroup, to process, to engage with the navigation of all of this. But I just want to say that it was a massive success, not just as an LGBTI event, but as a huge event for Sydney, for New South Wales, and for Australia. And I want to acknowledge that, and particularly the contribution that it made to the region and the commitment to recognising the role that this would play in the region, and also respecting First Nations justice and First Nations voices in the way that this was put forward. Finally, I put the challenge to all of us. The member for Sydney knows all too well that the ongoing discrimination and hate and vilification of the LGBTI community continues. We talk about, and I spoke about it at the flag raising, about the impact that World Pride will have on young people in our community. And I think about the power that the member for Sydney and all of you in Sydney World Pride and all of us have to make sure that we fly the rainbow flag with pride, to make sure that young, trans, gender diverse, gender questioning queer young people in our communities who may not be supported know that we are here for them and we are fighting in the struggle for them. And I give our commitment in this chamber to never, ever allow the kind of discrimination and hurt that we have seen ever be accepted, and a commitment to say that in Sydney World Pride doing what we did, congratulations to all of you for a massive, massive, massive gig.